How I stopped overthinking. 7 steps that changed my life. Overthinking used to be a constant presence in my life, making it difficult to make decisions or enjoy the moment. It felt like being stuck in a loop of worrying about past mistakes, future scenarios, and minor details until I was completely overwhelmed. This mental habit affected my sleep, relationships, and productivity. However, through trial and error, I discovered 7 strategies that helped me break free. If you're struggling with overthinking, I hope my journey can provide some guidance and relief. Recognizing my overthinking. The first step to change was recognizing that I had a problem with overthinking. It wasn't just careful consideration, my mind would get stuck in endless loops, preventing me from moving forward. This habit drained my energy and kept me from enjoying life. For instance, whenever I sent a text and didn't receive an immediate response, I'd spiral into anxious thoughts like, did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? Often, these fears were unfounded, but they felt very real. Acknowledging this pattern was the first step toward change. I realized that my thoughts were just thoughts, they weren't always accurate reflections of reality. With this awareness, I could start working on breaking the cycle. Step 1. Practicing mindfulness. The first strategy that made a significant impact was practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness involves bringing your attention to the present moment without judgment, focusing on what's happening right now instead of what happened in the past or might happen in the future. I started with small mindfulness exercises, like focusing on my breath. I'd take a deep breath in and out, noticing the sensation of air entering and leaving my body. Whenever my mind wandered, I'd gently guide it back to my breath. This practice helped ground me and interrupted overthinking. Mindfulness was especially helpful in situations where my mind raced, like during meetings or conversations. Instead of worrying about what I'd say next or how others perceive me, I learned to take a quick mindful breath and focus on the present. This helped me feel more at ease and improved my ability to engage with others. As I became more consistent with mindfulness, I noticed a reduction in my anxiety levels. It was as though I had a tool to hit the pause button on my thoughts, giving me a moment of clarity and calm. Step 2. Setting time limits for decision-making. Setting time limits for decision-making helped me overcome analysis paralysis, where I'd overanalyze every option to the point of being unable to decide. I started giving myself a deadline for making decisions. For example, if I had to choose a restaurant for dinner, I'd set a timer for 5 minutes. Within that time, I'd make a decision and stick to it. This practice forced me to trust my instincts and move forward instead of getting bogged down in endless deliberation. By imposing time limits, I found that I could make choices more efficiently and with less stress. I realized that no decision is perfect and that it's okay to make mistakes. What mattered was taking action and learning from the outcomes. This approach also helped me with significant life decisions, such as choosing projects or career opportunities. Instead of waiting for the perfect choice, I learned to evaluate my options, set a deadline, and commit to a decision. Step 3. Challenging negative thoughts. Overthinking often stemmed from negative thoughts rooted in fear or doubt. I would assume worst-case scenarios and take them as facts, fueling my anxiety. To combat this, I learned to challenge my negative thoughts. Whenever I caught myself spiraling into negativity, I'd pause and ask myself, is this a fact or an assumption? If it was an assumption, I'd question what evidence I had to support it. More often than not, I found there was none. For example, after job interviews, I used to worry about whether I had performed well. I'd replay every answer in my mind, convinced I'd said the wrong thing. But when I examined these thoughts, I realized my perception was skewed by nerves and self-doubt. By questioning these assumptions, I let go of unfounded fears and focused on the positives. Step 4. Focusing on what I could control. Overthinking led me to waste energy on things beyond my control, adding to my stress. I realized I needed to focus on what I could influence, like my reactions and efforts. For example, if I was stressed about an upcoming presentation, I'd focus on preparing my content and practicing rather than worrying about the audience's reaction. This shift in focus empowered me to take proactive steps and reduce my anxiety. Focusing on what I could control also helped in my personal life. Instead of dwelling on past mistakes or worrying about future uncertainties, I learned to concentrate on the present moment and the actions I could take to improve my situation. Step 5. Practicing self-compassion. Overthinking often stemmed from a fear of failure or not being good enough. I realized I needed to treat myself with kindness and understanding. Whenever I found myself in a cycle of self-criticism, I paused and asked, would I say this to a friend? If not, I'd reframe my thoughts with the same kindness I'd offer them. For example, if I made a mistake at work, instead of berating myself, I'd remind myself that everyone makes mistakes and focus on what I could learn from the experience. This shift in mindset helped me build self-compassion and resilience. Step 6. Taking action. Overthinking often paralyzed me, but taking action was the key to breaking the cycle. I started small by picking one thing I'd been overthinking and taking a concrete step toward resolving it. Action created momentum, which helped reduce my mental clutter. For instance, when I was overthinking about starting a new project, I took the first step that day, whether it was drafting an outline or making a phone call. Taking action helped quiet my mind and gave me a sense of accomplishment. Conclusion. These 7 steps have transformed my life and helped me break free from the cycle of overthinking. It's all about taking small, consistent actions toward a calmer mind. By practicing mindfulness, setting time limits for decision-making, challenging negative thoughts, focusing on what I could control, practicing self-compassion, and taking action, I've learned to navigate life with greater clarity and peace. If you struggle with overthinking, I encourage you to try these strategies and see which ones work best for you. Overcoming overthinking is a journey, but with these steps, you can take control of your thoughts and find peace of mind. Remember, change takes time, and it's important to be patient and kind to yourself along the way. You've got this.